My name is Lisa, and 2 years ago, I had a significant encounter and married a man named Sean. After some time, I ended up living in Sean's family home. Never expecting things would turn out this way. I met Sean on a dating site. Having started working right after high school, I was often around my father, an office worker, using his computer frequently. This sparked my interest in the internet. And now I earn a living through remote work using just my computer. That's why I was familiar with computers and ended up registering on a dating site. Sean, who I met and married there, struck me as a genuinely kind-hearted person. He's diligent at work, and while his income varies with the seasons, I guess it's above average. At first, we lived in a rented apartment. But then, Sean said, "My grandpa's health is deteriorating. I might have to take care of him." Sean's family home, built by his grandfather, is now inhabited by his parents and sister as well. I thought his parents could take care of his grandfather. But Sean didn't seem to trust his parents or sister much. Apparently, his parents are still in non-regular employment, and his sister is a part-timer. They seem a bit twisted and unlikely to seriously take care of their elderly father. I've met Sean's family a few times since marrying him. And while they didn't give a terrible impression, I did sense some malevolence. His grandfather, however, was a truly kind and wonderful person. Still, I didn't want to ignore Sean's kindness. I trusted that Sean would handle any issues that arose, so I agreed to live with his family. I never imagined I'd be treated so poorly. The house wasn't very spacious for 6 people, including us. Only Sean's sister and grandfather had their own rooms. Sean's parents and we had to share a room. But I accepted this without complaint since we were living there. I even did household chores during breaks from my remote work. Living with Sean's family made it clear they really didn't do anything. They didn't clean their rooms or cook meals, eating separately in their rooms with pre-made food from the supermarket. It's no wonder I thought this house had a lot of plastic trash. Even the grandfather was like that, so I finally offered, "Shall I cook meals for everyone?" Considering the grandfather's condition, it must be difficult for him to even go out for groceries. He replied in a feeble voice, "Is that so? I would be truly grateful. May I ask you to do so?" The rest of the family, however, was indifferent, saying, "Well, if you want to. You're always home anyway." This irritated me a bit, but I thought doing something would prevent any strange comments. So, I took on the daily cooking. Sean appreciated it, saying, "It's a busy time for me at work. So it really helps that Lisa cooks." "Thank you." So, I tried not to think too deeply about his parents and sister and just considered them as people in the house. As a family member, I took care of his grandfather and adjusted to life in their home. But it was clear why Sean insisted on living with them. His parents didn't seem to care for the grandfather at all, only acting selfishly. However, the grandfather always thanked me, saying, "I'm really grateful you're here." His gratitude alone made it worth doing the housework. I wonder if this house feels too cramped. I'd like to consider remodeling it, I say, and I can't help but honestly think that having more rooms would be better. It may seem selfish to want my own room, but I think it would be better for Sean's parents to have separate rooms too. Most importantly, having my own room would make my work more efficient. When I shared my opinion, Sean's grandfather was open to the idea. He suggested getting everyone's opinion, so I brought up the topic. The answer was pretty much expected. Of course, more rooms would be better. "That guy has some good points, doesn't he?" Sean's father said, referring to his father with a gleam in his eye. After conveying everyone's feelings to Sean's grandfather, he really started the remodeling process. "I can't provide a lot of money, so it won't be a fancy house. But I thought it would be better for Sean and Lisa." While saying this, He contacted a construction company he had known for a long time. The yard was big enough, so 2 more rooms were added, allowing everyone to have their own room. Sean and I deeply thanked his grandfather. He even paid for a hotel for us to stay in during the construction. Yet, Sean's parents and sister didn't express any gratitude. I quietly felt angry at how heartless they could be. When I talked to Sean about it, he said, "It can't be helped, I've given up on them. Anyway, Lisa, just keep minimal contact with them in the house." His words helped me calm down a bit. However, a few weeks after the remodeling, the situation drastically changed. Sean's grandfather's condition suddenly worsened, becoming life-threatening. Sean and I frequently visited the hospital, talking to his grandfather as much as we could. Sean's parents didn't even visit, but we didn't care anymore. All we wanted was for his kind grandfather to get better. But despite our hopes, he passed away. Sean and I were engulfed in sorrow. But a life filled with more anger than grief was about to start. After Sean's grandfather passed away, his parents' and sister's attitude changed noticeably. While I was cleaning the kitchen and entrance as usual, Sean's mother returned from work and casually said, "Can you clean our room too? It's gotten quite messy." There used to be a rule that everyone should clean their own rooms, which they never did, but now they were slacking off even more since the grandfather's death. When I replied, "But everyone's room is their private space. And we agreed to clean them ourselves, right?" Sean's mother snapped back. "Huh? You clean that old man's room, but not mine. That's unfair. Are you stupid? Moreover," she said, "you're always at home, so you should do it. I'm tired from working. If you don't clean, maybe I should mess up your room instead." Hearing this, I thought she was unreasonable but also felt she might actually do it. I wanted to avoid conflicts since we were living together. So I reluctantly agreed to clean her room. If Sean's mother was like that, his father was no better. "You know, I always thought your cooking is bland. Why are you still catering to that old man's taste? I'm working and earning, so at least serve me something tasty." He said this so casually. The man who always ate what I cooked whenever he wanted now had nothing but complaints. At that moment, I simply apologized and said, "I'm sorry, I'll be more careful next time." But the thought that he had been eating my food all this time and finding it unappetizing made me more irritated than sad. And Sean's sister suddenly burst into my room, yelling, "Hey! There's no alcohol in the fridge. Why didn't you restock it?" I couldn't understand why suddenly it was my responsibility to do so when everyone had always bought their own alcohol. "I've told you before, please don't enter my room without permission," I said, recalling a past incident where I had to firmly remind her. Yet, Sean's sister sarcastically replied to my words, "Why are you acting so high and mighty? You're just a high school graduate, aren't you? Listen to me because you're not that smart. I don't deserve such insults. What's wrong with being a high school graduate? I work hard at my job." I couldn't hold back any longer and told her off, to which she retorted, "What? How dare you talk like that when you're just staying at home all the time? You're not only stupid but also useless." She then slammed the door and left the room. My frustration was beyond control. But then I realized this is the true nature of Sean's family, except for him. They were probably restrained by Sean's grandfather when he was alive because he was strict. Now that he's gone, they think they can do whatever they want. It's astonishing how they can be so rude despite relying on me for household tasks. With individual rooms now, living together has become even more difficult. Feeling guilty for bothering Sean when he's busy and tired, I discussed his family's behavior with him. "They said such awful things to you? All right, let's think about what to do next. We talked about handling things as peacefully as possible. But we knew we couldn't stay silent if things got worse. And indeed, the moment came the very next day. I was so fed up with household chores that I focused solely on my work. Then, in the evening, Sean's family barged into my room. "What's this? You haven't done any cleaning or laundry. And there's no dinner ready." Sean's father was furious. "Why are you slacking off? If you have time to sit at the computer, you should be working." I wanted to retort, "But this is my work," but before I could, Sean's sister added, "You're so useless. How can someone like you be part of the family?" She even questioned my marriage to Sean. Then came the final blow. "You're not part of this family. You're just a jobless leech. Leave our house and take Sean with you. He's just like his grandfather. Too serious and honest, and I don't really like him." Other family members joined in. "Yeah, get out. Outsiders have no place in this house." I was tired of arguing and thought, I'm not jobless, I work from home. But after being pushed so far, I had no choice but to follow through with the plan Sean and I discussed the night before. I calmly responded, "All right, if you say I'm not family, I'll leave. But I need a week to move out." The family smirked, "Leave as soon as you can. It'll be nice to have more space in this big house." I thought to myself, enjoy it while it lasts, but didn't say it out loud. Instead, I immediately started packing. I explained the situation to Sean, and we quickly got ready. We were about to leave when we handed some documents to his family. "We're leaving now, so please sign this. It makes the house officially yours." Sean's father, laughing, said, "What are you talking about? This house has been mine since that old man died." "Fine, I'll sign it as a keepsake. Here." After signing, he tossed the document back at me. We could have just left, but I thought it was important to tell the truth. Actually, this house was mine until just now. Sean's grandfather and I discussed it before he passed away, and it was under my name. So, I've been paying the utility bills and property taxes. But Sean's parents refused to believe it. "If you're not working, how can you possibly do that?" Sean's father exclaimed, while Sean's sister added insult to injury. "It can't be helped, she's just a high school graduate after all." But then, Sean stood up for me. "No, it's true. Grandpa wanted to transfer the property to me, but my income isn't stable. Lisa's income is high and stable, so we thought it would be safer that way." However, Sean's family wouldn't listen. They burst into laughter. "Really, both of you are ridiculous. Sean, are you out of your mind? How much does this woman even earn?" His mother laughed mockingly. I quietly responded, "Maybe about $25,000 a month." "Well, you never believed I was working from home anyway." This left Sean's family speechless, their faces showing nothing but disdain. Pressured to leave quickly after finishing our preparations, Sean and I decided to leave his family home. On our way to the new apartment we had rented, I said to Sean, "By the way, I forgot to mention one more important thing." "Oh well." Sean chuckled and replied, "It's fine, they'll find out soon enough," as we got into a taxi. The situation that would unfold for Sean's family after this was nothing short of disastrous. A few days later, Sean and I were comfortably settled in our new apartment, when my phone started ringing incessantly with calls from Sean's mother. Realizing what was starting, I couldn't help but smirk. But feeling the need to give them a hard time, I continued to ignore the calls. As expected, Sean's family soon received bills for utilities. After the remodeling, which made the house bigger, they had opted for industrial-level air conditioning and other high-performance appliances. Also, the large yard was fitted with security lighting and automatic sprinklers. These additions must have resulted in hefty utility bills, probably double what they were before the remodeling, easily exceeding $1,000 per month. And Sean's family, being careless, often left water running and such. The property taxes for such a large land wouldn't be cheap either. They must have been shocked by the bills. But that was just the beginning of their problems. The furniture and appliances were all purchased by Sean's grandfather and left to Sean and me in his will. Virtually everything in the house belonged to us. We had movers transport the necessary items to our new home. Sean's family must have been stunned to see the movers taking away almost everything essential for living, including the TV, refrigerator, microwave, and expensive dishes. We left them their bedding, but even with that, they were left in a difficult living situation. Then came the final blow, the cost of the remodeling. Sean's grandfather had intended to pay it off with a loan. "I can pay it off in 5 years with my pension," he had said. But he passed away shortly after, worsening in the hospital. When we had talked before his passing, I had taken over that loan. It was about $80,000 in total, not too burdensome for me with my monthly income of $25,000. But I transferred the property and its payment responsibility to Sean's father. So I no longer had to pay. Sean's family, consisting of non-regularly employed parents and a part-time working sister, had a combined income of about $3,000. With all these expenses, they couldn't possibly lead a normal life. They must have realized too late how much they had relied on Sean's grandfather and me. Their calls became a daily occurrence, but we ignored them for about a year. Out of curiosity, I visited Sean's former home one day and found a "for sale" sign. Neighbors said that men looking like debt collectors visited daily. Payments were severely behind, and eventually, they were forced out, leaving debts unpaid. The state of Sean's family at that time, as described by neighbors, was disheveled and spiritless. Rumor had it that the 3 of them were forced into harsh labor at a dingy dormitory to pay off their debts. Meanwhile, Sean and I were enjoying a comfortable life in our new apartment. Visiting Sean's old home reminded me of the importance of appreciating those who help us. However, I wondered if Sean felt troubled about his parents' situation. But Sean confessed, "We're not a family," they said, and I guess they were right. My real parents died when I was a child, and I was adopted into that family. They always told me to grow up quickly and support them. When I realized what they meant, their greed only increased, and I grew tired of it. Honestly, I wanted to cut ties with them. To think they believed the house was theirs just because Grandpa died. Who's really the foolish one? He seemed to believe they got what they deserved. Hearing this, I felt relieved. Soon, Sean and I were expecting our first child.